Hello ladies, and thanks for tuning in to Far Above Rubies today. We're taking a look at Psalms chapter 8, and we're talking about the thought, when I look. When I look. We're going to read verses 3 and 4 together, and they say this: When I look at the night sky, and I see the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have set in place, what is mere mortals like us that you should think of them? What are human beings that you should care for them? I want you to take a moment and think about your very favorite picture on your phone. Take a second, think about it. Maybe it's of your kids, maybe it's of you and your loved one in your favorite place in the whole entire world. Now, I want you to think about that picture and zooming in so close to where you're looking at just a tiny little square quarter inch of that picture. Would that picture make any sense to you or to anyone else looking at it, zoomed in that close? I bet it wouldn't. I bet someone would look at that tiny little square quarter inch of your picture and say, that's not beautiful. Why do you love this picture? It doesn't make any sense. There's nothing to it. And that's because you're zoomed in so close, you're only looking at a tiny piece of the puzzle, a tiny piece of the larger picture. This psalm, Psalm chapter 8, is a psalm about gaining perspective. It's talking about zooming out and seeing the big picture of our lives. It's talking about zooming out and being able to see God's fingerprints on our lives. We often live our lives zoomed in so close that we can't see the big picture. We become so focused on what is happening right now, what is happening in these circumstances, that we can no longer see the handiwork of God in our lives. We forget that this moment is just a breath. It's just a season. It's just a chapter in a great, big, designed masterpiece of a picture. Have you forgotten to take a step back lately? Are you living life zoomed in too close to see God? You, I'm sure, agreed with me that if you zoomed in on that favorite picture of yours, it wouldn't make any sense. So if you're feeling like your life doesn't make much in the way of sense right now, if you're feeling like there's no rhyme or reason to what's going on in your life, maybe the situation is that you need to take a step back, that you need to get on your knees in your prayer closet, that you need to talk to God, that you need to ask Him to help you pause, breathe, and zoom out and see His handiwork. See the grandeur of what God is doing in your life. The key to this whole passage is the psalmist David saying, when I look. When I look. Not when my nose is to the grindstone and I'm rushing to meet a deadline. Not when I'm so blinded by my circumstances that I can't take time to pray, or I think I'm too busy to go to church and be fed the Word of God, or I'm too busy or too tired or too exhausted or too overwhelmed to get into the Word on my own devotional time. Not those moments, but when I look for it, when I look for Him, I see it. I see the moon and the stars. I see the things so much bigger than I am, so much bigger than my circumstance, that have been set in place long ago. God put them there and they're still working the way they're supposed to work. Why? Because God knows what He's doing. When I get to see the grandeur of His work, when I take a step back, when I look for God's fingerprints on my life, I'm going to see them. I'm going to find them. I'm going to find Him when I look. When I look. When I pause. When I take a breath. When I zoom out. When I get alone with God. When I consider Him. When I consider His faithfulness. When I consider His track record and what He has done in my life up to this point. When I take my favorite picture. When I take God's favorite picture of my life and I zoom out, that's when I see Him. That's when I see His fingerprints. That's when I see Him at work. That's when I know that He is with me, that I know that He is in control, that I know that He has not forgotten me. When I look. When I look. I hope that you'll go and read Psalm chapter 8 today, and you'll take some time in your devotionals today to zoom out on your life, to take a breath, to pause for just a moment and look for the handiwork of God in your life. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And if no one has told you lately, you are loved and you are cherished and you are valuable. You have beautiful and tremendous worth, my sweet friend, and that worth is far above rubies. Thank you so much for being here today. I'll see you all again tomorrow. God bless you.